I know that before you left Egypt or fled Egypt, the government there accused you of working for the CIA.
They specifically talked about a certain apartment in a neighborhood in Egypt, in Zamalek, where I would meet with those two CIA officers and would receive instructions on how to use satire to bring down the country.
Nice.
And that was all under the supervision of Jon Stewart.
Welcome to Friday Night Semites, the only podcast that claims it has a right to exist, even though no law says so. My name's Sammy Obeid. Hey Josh, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How you feeling?
I'm all right, man.
Well, here we are, another Friday night. You know, that's the question that I get a lot when you're in the pro-Palestine solidarity movement, the pro-ceasefire movement. Does Israel have the right to exist? Do you get that question ever?
Oh, all the time. All the time.
And what do you say?
It depends on what you mean by right.
Ah.
Yeah, it depends on where this right comes from, because we know there actually is no law or rule that says countries have a right to exist or not.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. There was never any convention that was made. So it's a question that's specifically supposed to make you confused.
For sure.
Because nobody says, oh, wait, what, there is somewhere that says there's a law, there's a right. Because then they want you to say no, so then you say no, and then you're like, oh, well, that's messed up.
Well, yeah.
You're saying that we can't exist.
For sure. That gets to it, because the question is always, does Israel have a right to exist? Not does Palestine have a right to exist?
Right.
Not does Lebanon, for example, have a right to exist? And I'll say it as the Jew, which is, I don't think, kind of like you said, any nation state has the right to exist. I think nation states have responsibilities, but people have rights. Human being, it's the universal
So people
declaration.
don't have responsibilities. Just want to make sure.
Oh, for sure. That's why we're on the couch doing
Thank
a podcast.
God. Thank God. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
people have rights. We have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of hummus. You know, this is
right.
what we all know.
Yeah.
But the idea that nation states have rights, it's like in the U.S. they try to make it like corporations have rights.
Right.
And it's bullshit. Like Lockheed Martin, Chevron, these things don't have a right to exist. Just like a nation state, which is a form that's supposed to serve people. If it's not serving people, what is it there for?
Yeah, well, I totally agree. I think that there's no God-given right for a country to exist.
Yeah.
And if you think that, I mean,
well, speaking of God,
a little crazy.
Because here's the question under the question.
Yeah.
The question that they're really asking when they say, "Does Israel have a right to exist?" is, do you think the Jews over there should be able to be over there and be in safety and peace and have self-determination or whatever? I think that the people have rights to be there. They don't have a right to steal land. They don't have a right to bomb indiscriminately. They don't have a right to claim it all.
But without those things, Israel can't exist.
Well, so that's my point, which is that Israel as a Jewish supremacist state, I do not think has a right to exist. And if we haven't been canceled already, I have just got kicked out of every last synagogue in America.
Well, that was actually my goal, but
for sure.
But you know, I think when people who claim that Israel has a right to exist, then I use that to define what a right is. Because if Israel does have the right to exist, that right is based on stealing other people's land, bombing people into their own safety, occupying their neighbors so that they can remain feeling safe or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And if those things are all true, then Israel has the right to exist by conquest. And if Israel has the right to exist by conquest, then any other country has the same right to just conquest and topple over Israel. If that's the kind of world you want to live in, you will always be at threat, and you will never actually have the right to continue to exist because someone else can just topple over that right at any time.
And that's basically what nation states are.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not really a nationalist. I don't believe that is. I read something that said the invention of the passport was the first real form of separation and oppression. And I was like, oh, I love my passport. I get my little photo at the post office. But that idea that this is the thing that defines you and gives you freedom is your nation state, I don't know. But then at the same time, then does Palestine have the right to exist is statehood the liberation? I'm not going to say, well, everyone else has a state, you can't have a state. How do you respond to that one?
If Palestine has self-determination and they can exist without, taking other people's land or, bombing other people, then, and you play by the same rules of any country having the right to exist if it can do those things, then, it all comes down to what do we agree is the right. And then furthermore, it's like, forget about what rights we think we have. What it actually is right.
Yeah.
Is killing people to make a country, is taking land to make a country actually right?
Yeah.
If you think that, you're a fucking crazy person.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, no, nobody has a right to exist. But if we, if we do things peacefully and we do things in consideration of others, that's right.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, Israel has a wrong to exist.
Hey! On that note, let's
bring on our guest.
Yeah.
Well, this man needs no introduction because he's all around the world.
Let's introduce him
anyways. He's a fantastic comedian, touring all around. You can find his clips all over the internet, and we are glad to have him here in this dark garage. Everybody welcome Bassem Youssef!
Hey!
Thank you very much, thank you. What a beautiful dungeon you have. That's a lovely dungeon. How you doing, guys?
We promise, this is...
Oh my God. That's high-level production, guys.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I like the little touches. That's scary.
You've been doing a lot of podcasts. This has got to be the darkest room you've done.
Yeah. I fear for my life right now.
Before you fear too much for your life, when we bring you to our dark chamber over here, we do at least feed you a little bit. So
nice.
We always every week have some Semitic cuisine, and I guess our producers this time went to the deli. So we got some East,
Did you go to Whole Foods?
Bro, I think they went to Cat's Deli down in LA because we got some macaroons, some rye bread,
macaroons? What is
macaroon?
You never had a macaroon?
Coconutty.
It's like a coconut cookie. This is some Jewish shit right here. So
okay.
Try, if you want.
The pickles. I recognize the pickles. I will eat the one thing that I recognize.
Yeah.
I take no responsibility for the food.
Well, only the rights.
Only the rights. The right for the food to exist.
The right to the food to exist. Well, speaking about the question that you guys were talking about, does Israel have the right to exist?
Yes.
How do I respond to that?
How do you respond?
That's a useless question. I was asked this question in England in one of the on Times Radio. I said, "Do you think that Israel has the right to exist?"
What did you say?
So, tell them, what is the purpose of this question?
Yeah.
What is this supposed to scare me? It's like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Because all of these questions, does Israel have the right to defend itself? Does Israel have the right to exist? All of these are not meant to have any kind of logical answer. Because you see how you went for 5 minutes talking about the rights and the wrong and the principle.
Wait, you didn't think that was a brilliant response that just answered it? We weren't just going in circles.
But you don't understand. No, you don't understand. Your responses are logical, but we're not dealing with logical people.
Of course.
All of those people who sit on their TV shows, they are not interested in logical responses. They're not interested in facts. Because if it doesn't matter how many times they hear the same exact responses from the pro-Palestinian side, they go and they ask the same questions again. It meant to waste time, to stall. Naftali Bennett, he went on Mehdi Hassan in 2000.
He's a big fan of this show.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Naftali, he went on the Mehdi Hassan. And Mehdi Hassan was telling him, doesn't Palestinian have the right to have a state? Doesn't they have, and he said, not everyone in the world have the right to have a state.
Oh, wow.
The Kurds don't have a right to do state.
Wow.
The Basque don't have the right to have a state. And I said, what? So you see how it is?
Yeah.
You see how it is? When it's them, it's different.
Yeah.
So they have this kind of exception. The reason we do this question is to make you go in circle, and then he cut you mid through. Oh, so do you want to exterminate all Jews?
Right.
Because if there is no Israel, that means the Israelis, and then they bring all of the idea about the Holocaust and the anti-Semitism and all of that. So all of these questions are tricks. The UK, tomorrow, if Scotland secedes, there's no more UK.
Right.
Yugoslavia, overnight, got broken into 7 countries. This whole thing about does Israel have the right to exist?
Countries change.
It's a useless question, and it's meant to waste time. And the idea is to get you into all of these labyrinth of questions, and to avoid talking about the real issue, was this occupation and the land theft and the aggression.
And they're not going anywhere. They're a nuclear power. You know, it's
but again, it's all of these questions.
Yeah.
Every single question is like, what do you think Hamas is a terrorist group?
Right.
And when I went to the, yes, it's a terrorist group. She was like, to avoid getting into all of these convoluted discussions.
Yeah.
But all of these questions are insincere and ingenuous, and it comes from a place of deceit and dishonesty.
Of course.
This is the whole idea about the Western media.
Yeah.
It's a circus.
Yeah.
And it is short term. There's short term memory. As it doesn't matter if you came in and you give them a whole history of the Palestinian problem and the Israeli-Palestine conflict. The next day they're going to ask the same question as if you didn't say anything. They are just. It's an entertainment coliseum.
Yeah.
On that note, do you condemn Hamas?
I condemn Hamas. That's another question. It's a checkpoint. It's a morality checkpoint.
They love checkpoints.
Checkpoint. You condemn before you go in.
Yeah.
Do you sympathize with terrorists?
Yeah.
Don't you think that the world will be better without Hezbollah and Hamas?
Yeah.
Well, there was a time that there was no Hamas and Hezbollah, and Israel still bombed the shit out of everyone.
That's right.
Yeah.
How does it feel to have propelled Piers Morgan's career?
Yeah, I think I think he owes me a percentage. But to be fair, that propelled my career too.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have to say, I'm gonna. Yes, it helped me, but I think, and I came on Piers Morgan. I said the same thing. I said I was doing well. I was having a decent career. What happened after my interview with him, it propelled my career even to a higher level.
Right.
But I'm happy, and I'm happy to say it, and I don't hide from it.
Yeah.
Because it's a message to tell people that you can still be on the right side and say the right thing and not to be cancelled.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And you should not be punished when you say the right thing, because that is the status quo. That anybody that speaks up in this issue gets cancelled, loses his job. I was lucky enough to be in a business that it actually helped me. I mean, I lost stuff. I lost stuff in Hollywood. In the past 3 years, actually before October 7th, I was doing very well. I was a SAG, I'm still a SAG-AFTRA member. I was doing the minimum, more than the minimum to get healthcare insurance.
Oh, that's big. That's a great thing, right? That's a big one.
Yeah, this year I'm gonna lose my health insurance for the first year because it dried up. I have no auditions. Nobody is coming up.
We'll get you more pickles.
Yeah, but on the other side, I gain more on the stand-up comedy, and I'm actually happy because I feel and you know it, Sammy, because you feel you're independent.
Yeah.
You own your own destiny. Nobody. You don't wait for the gatekeepers to tell you go in and when you're waiting around for people for seeking their approval. So it kind of gives you like a kind of independence. So yes, I lost stuff and I gained stuff, and I'm happy that maybe we should see like who earns more, and I think he does, and then we can discuss percentages.
Well, all right. So speaking of careers, I know that before you left Egypt or fled Egypt, or the government there, they accused you of working for the CIA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and like that you were working with the CIA and Jon Stewart to bring down the government through satire.
They specifically talked about a certain apartment in a neighborhood in Egypt, in Zamalek, where I would meet with those two CIA officers and would receive instructions on how to use satire to bring down the country.
Nice.
And that was all under the supervision of Jon Stewart.
All right. So when you were in Egypt, you were accused of being paid for by the CIA.
But I was also and the Islamists came up and they say I'm not Egyptian. I'm a secret Jew.
Oh.
And I got smuggled into Egypt a long time ago.
Nice.
And I have a fake ID card.
Nice.
And I learned Arabic. And to do that kind of role that was destined for me.
Yeah.
So I'm an Israeli Jewish spy.
Oh man.
And here I get to be called an anti-Semite.
Well, so you got CIA, you got Mossad, and then now that you're in the U.S., I see you get trolls accuse you of being,
anti-Semite,
anti-Semitic, working
an Islamist.
Hamas.
Yeah, Muslim Brotherhood or Iran.
Yeah.
So my question is, who pays better, the CIA or Iran?
Before that answer this question, I still have one box I didn't check.
Who's that?
Communist.
Oh, of course. Welcome to the club.
Like a leftist communist.
Yeah.
I didn't get that yet.
So China pays you
I did
too.
like an anarchist, yeah.
Well, the anarchists don't pay so well. That's the problem.
Yeah, because they're not organized. They can't organize their payroll.
We have a joke.
They don't work. Yeah.
We say in the U.S., when you get accused, the CIA is okay but the NSA, they pay the real money.
They do?
Oh yeah. Oh, you guys didn't know? Oh, sorry. I'm gonna let you in on a Semitic secret.
How do you know?
What do you mean? Who pays for this garage?
Oh, God,
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, come on, he's Jewish. You know,
Yeah.
how he gets his money.
Yeah. He said it. I didn't say it.
I didn't hear it.
It didn't happen.
Yeah. There it is. It's like Israel. Hey!
Yeah.
That must have been pretty confusing for some years, feeling like you were ousted there and not really maybe welcome here. Like, and I know you started talking about Palestine a lot in the last year, but you've been political this whole time.
Yeah.
Like, were you talking about Palestine a lot in the previous years?
No, I wasn't. I'll be very honest with you. When I left Egypt, I got disenfranchised. I didn't want to be. I wanted to be as far away as possible from my days of political satire in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing stand-up comedy in English. I started to do like plant-based diet videos about like health and stuff. The show in Egypt was so big in the Arab world that it was like a black hole. It would suck anything in existence.
Right.
Like anything cannot exist. So anything I would do will be compared with it. So I decided to do comedy with this different language so to remove even the possibility of comparison. I didn't do stand-up comedy in Arabic.
Right.
I want it's like it's just politics is just too much. And for 5 years, I just focus on that career. This is going to be my career now. I'm going to do stand-up comedy in English. I'm not going to go back in Arabic. I don't care about the Arab world. I don't care about politics. And when October 7th happened, I didn't want to talk about it in the beginning because it was so scary because of all of the lies of the decapitated babies. Or how can you defend that? And then when I started saying, like, no, this is not right.
Yeah.
And I saw this interview with Ben Shapiro and Piers Morgan.
Oh, he's my favorite. Ben Shapiro's my favorite.
He's the smartest guy on earth.
Yeah.
And for over a week, Piers Morgan people were contacting me to get on the show. I kept saying no. I kept saying no. I kept saying no. I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be involved. I don't want to get into this.
What changed?
This is the most chronic. When I saw the Ben Shapiro interview, because I said like, those people are getting away with practically with.
And they wouldn't let you debate Ben Shapiro because you're not in community college.
Oh yeah,
right?
because I'm not a 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And no, so they wanted me to come on Piers Morgan, and I kept saying no, kept saying go, kept saying no. And then when I saw that interview, it's like the blood boiled in my veins. And then I called the guys like, I'm gonna be on.
The propaganda was too much.
And then when I did that, I said, look, what? And I said, look, what did I get into myself? I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with that. And I just started to say, okay, the only way to do it is just like to take their talking points, magnify it, and flip it on its head, which is exactly what comedy does.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, that's how cute. They're warning civilians. How fucking cute.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, so if Putin did it, it's okay. And so I started to kind of did like, because this is what comedy does. It takes the like ridiculous stuff and you go in and you dissect it, and you flip it. And I didn't know if that would work. It was a suicide mission. My agents, managers called me. It's like, Bassem, don't do it. You're doing well right now.
Yeah.
I just got chosen for the next Superman movie for like a decent role, and they said like, what are you doing? You're gonna ruin your career. And I said I can't. I can't have it in my heart to even be on stage or even announce for a show without talking about what's happening. I cannot ignore it.
Yeah, and you didn't hold back. I believe you were making like a human shield joke, like 10 seconds in.
Yeah, and I'll let you in on a secret. I wrote that joke, and because I was talking to the producers, and I was telling him, does Piers know that my wife's family are in Gaza? Yeah. And he said no. Does he? And I kept asking him 3 or 4 times before the show, because I would assume if you are hosting someone with that, the first question would be, how are their family doing?
Yeah, their family, are they okay?
So I was prepared to that.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, they're just like, they're dramatic.
Yeah.
They're just and they never die. I know I'm married to one. That was my opening joke, and then I would go into the human shoot.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting there, and then Piers Morgan asked the most basic question. How did you feel after October 7th? Like, fuck, open-ended questions. So if you see the interview again, you will see me kind of stuttering in the first 10 seconds, 15 seconds, until I got, but that's okay. They're just, and then I went into the whole bit. Right. It was a bit. It was a bit that I wrote, and I saed like, at the end of the day, I'm not a natural born comedian. I'm a doctor. I'm a nerd. So even when I do comedy, I do it in a nerdy way. I kind of write everything.
You're
I have to memorize it. He's a math nerd, so he looks at things from a mathematical point of view.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm a doctor. So for me, it's about repetition and knowing it and knowing it and knowing it and knowing it many times. So I did that. I went with that kind of mood, and I planned like all of the things, including that question when I told him, do you think Israel is killing civilians so they would put pressure on the civilians to remove Hamas? And he said, yes. So, well, this is what exactly terrorist groups do, because terrorist groups have absolutely no...
It was brilliant.
Plan. So, and you just compared ISIS with Hamas. I planned that.
Since you mentioned that before you got into comedy, you were a doctor, you were a heart surgeon, right?
Yeah.
So beyond even if you take off the political lens, which I can't, even if you take off the artistic lens, as a doctor, when you see what's going on, this is a sincere question for once. When you see what's going on, you see the bombing of every hospital in Gaza, now the bombings in Lebanon, you see the doctors performing amputations without anesthesia. Like, it's heartbreaking to us. What does it feel like as a doctor?
But you don't even need to be a doctor to see that. I mean, as a human being, what's happening is mass slaughter, and it's being televised.
Yeah.
And the old questions like, oh, what would happen if people knew about the Holocaust while it was happening? Do you think they would let it go? We are seeing a Holocaust happening right in front of us.
Yeah.
And the media, the Western media, is 100% complicit. The Western government is 100% complicit. And the whole thing about, it's a conspiracy theory that Israel... No, I mean, is it really a conspiracy theory? I mean, countries are run by governments.
Right.
Governments are made up of people.
Yeah.
If you buy enough people, you control the country.
Yeah.
There is no conspiracy in that.
Yeah.
And Israel is bragging in your face that they bought 88% of the Congress and the Senate. They own them. The U.S. Senate has 100 senators. Every single resolution that had to do with Israel had always been 100-0.
Right.
100-0. The last one about sending arms to Israel, it was 99-1, and the one was roll call.
Oh, not even Bernie?
No, Bernie abstains.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how he plays
You see,
it safe.
he abstains. Yeah. So you want to tell me that in a country like America, the two major parties cannot agree on jobs, healthcare, education, abortion, gun rights.
But Israel...
Israel 100%.
Yeah.
Which tells you that these people don't work for the American people.
Yeah.
They work for a foreign government that have openly paid their salaries and paid their campaign contribution. And you want to tell me that it's a conspiracy theory to say that Israel holds America hostage? It's not.
No, AIPAC brags.
And AIPAC, by the way, is just like one. I mean, there's so many
AIPAC,
other...
Kufi, they brag that they've spent $20 million to get out Jamal
Kufi
Bowman.
has sent $70 billion. It sends every year $70 million to Israel.
Oh, wow.
Every year. A total of, I think, $6 billion over the year. And it's so...
They want to send a Jew money. I'm right here. They don't have to send it all the way to Israel.
But here's the thing about the thing. It's never about the Jews.
Of course.
It's neither about the Jews, because Israel has hijacked, the Zionists in this world has hijacked the Jewish faith. They've taken religion as a cover, guilt as a deflector, and money and intimidation to shut everybody out. That is the nature of Israel. The internet is full of videos of Israeli police kicking and hitting the shit out of Orthodox Jews.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that this whole thing about there's no difference between Israel and ISIS. ISIS hiding behind Islam, using Islam and using jihad, and then when you talk about it, it's like, are you talking about? No, it's not. I'm a Muslim, and I can easily and openly separate myself from ISIS, from Qaeda, and tell them that does not represent me.
Yeah.
The problem is the many Jewish voices who do not see Israel as representing themselves. They don't have the power or the exposure or enough momentum to make themselves seen. And if they do, they're called as a Jew, self-hating Jew, cabos, all of these kinds of things.
Josh Healy.
Yeah.
A lot of different names.
Yeah. I like them all. I like them all. I wear them with the badge of honor. No, the first time I was put on, it was called the Jewish shit list, self-hating Israel threatening, the Jewish shit list. I was they put my photo and I was between Naomi Klein and Howard Zinn. And I was like, this is a great fucking list.
Yeah.
I was like, I screen grabbed it. I put that for my next bio. It was great.
Yeah, I would, the same thing. The Islamists called me a fake Muslim, a self-hating Muslim back in Egypt.
I didn't know a secret Jew though, man. I gotta have you over for Shabbat. I'm sorry I didn't invite you for Passover. That's my fault. I feel guilt for that. I don't feel guilt.
I have the proof. You see, I'm starting to lose hair here.
Oh no.
Why do you think? It's the kappa, baby.
Oh man. Why do you think I got the hat on?
Because you lost all of it.
Of course.
You started speaking about Palestine a lot more in the last year versus you hadn't really been speaking about it a lot in your political dialogue before. Did you used to fear the consequences?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Of course.
And so what changed?
I told you this moment when I went on stage, it was a reaction of what I saw, and I said, like, I cannot keep silent. When I did this interview with Piers Morgan, I did this interview with two goals. Number one, to make an impact. And number two, to make a huge impact that to force him to sit with me one-on-one. Which worked.
Yeah, you lured him back.
Because when he saw doing 22 million views, and so Piers Morgan said, like, Bassem Youssef interview, like, clocked the most views on the channel. So I tweeted to him, so why don't you invite me on your show one-to-one?
Come on,
I fly first class.
Yeah, come on. Come on.
And then he said, done. So now I put him into the position where, like, you have to do the interview. But he came to Los Angeles because at the time he was in
the Comedy Store, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But then after these two interviews, I said, okay, I'm done. Because I felt that there's other voices started like, oh, Bassem is using this for him. And I stopped. And if you notice, after Piers' interview, I did not go into any shows or interviews until for 3 months. And the thing is, I was trying as much as possible to just avoid it. But then I really thought that the war would be ending in 2 months, and 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and then the decimation and the hypocrisy. And then I said, like, wait a minute, this is not just about Palestine.
Right.
Mm-hmm. This is about the dream and the hope that I had about this country, where I left the Middle East, where I would come to America, where I would, at least I would be in a country that protects my rights, that would represent me, no taxation without representation.
Yeah.
And then I discovered that, wait, this country is completely bought, the government is completely bought by a foreign country.
Yeah.
And I said, like, and I'm paying taxes to finance this. I said, no. This is not, you promised me freedom, you promised me freedom of expression, and now you're putting all kind of like booby traps around what you have promised me. I said, no, I can't. I need to do this, not for Palestine only, but for me and my family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have like this anti-Semitic bill law, remember, anti-Semitic bill that was almost passed? That will put everybody in danger.
Yeah.
That is actually a direct assault on the First Amendment.
Yeah.
My daughter could grow up and walk in a demonstration in the college and get arrested.
Right.
Now when I tell you, if the war ends tomorrow, I'm not going to stop talking.
Right.
Because it's not about Palestine, it's not about Lebanon. Today is Palestine, tomorrow is Lebanon, after tomorrow is Syria. It's about how our government is completely hijacked by a foreign country, and we need to speak against. So it's not really about Palestine.
So you did it for America.
I did it for America, baby.
America first.
America first.
I did not know how much you were trying to make America great again. But I really appreciate
Trump 2024, baby.
Yeah, I did not see that being the full circle.
I'm a secret MAGA.
Secret MAGA, secret Jew, secret Messiah. Man, you're a triple agent.
But that's, I mean, it's such a great point. It's like, what's the point of having America if our politicians are bought and we don't have freedom of speech?
This is the difference between the Middle East and here. When we were living in the Middle East, everybody was in onto the game. They knew that there was a game. They knew that our rulers, our kings and prime ministers and presidents, they're basically following orders from above.
Yeah.
And we played the game. And everybody knows. Everybody. But at least our rulers didn't have the audacity to just make it that obvious.
Right.
Mm. They had the dignity to just make it as if they are in control.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They're like, it comes from us. And sometimes they will do something to prove that they don't follow. But right now, you have congressmen and congresswomen and senators openly saying, we stand with Israel, we stand with Israel, and openly taking money, and openly coming and kiss Netanyahu's feet, and
that
they,
wasn't what you were gonna say.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
Let's
be honest.
I was going to say
Yeah,
that
so
I was going to say they're gonna suck his dick.
Yeah.
But anyways, but like, you know, I didn't want to say that because there are children watching.
Yeah, of course, a lot of kids watch it.
Yeah,
so.
but you know, So anyways, but then he comes to Congress, and he's like a freaking shaman. You know,
standing applause,
like the same hole where all American presidents from Republicans and Democrats were booed and insulted and sworn and kind of like have all kind of antics against them.
Yeah.
They come in and they just like bow to him. I didn't come here to find that like my country is ruled from Tel Aviv.
Right.
So at least back home there was a charade. There was like an act. This act is not even there.
Oh no, America. No, we just put it right out in the open. You know, we're not.
And that's why. So this whole thing, all of this, the election, it's a freaking circus.
Yeah.
If you have two candidates, you have basically America now is like, should we take your guns or should we prevent you from abortion? This is the political I was going to say intercourse. This is the this is the
you want to come on the
intercourse.
This is the political discourse, intercourse.
Yeah. Someone's getting fucked.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
But what do they have in common? Everybody bows down to Israel. That is not the country that I signed up for.
Is this your first election? No, this isn't your first election.
That's my third election.
Do you see a difference between?
No, but the first one I couldn't vote.
Okay.
2016, and the second one, I voted. I voted blue, no matter who.
Yeah, that worked out well.
I voted for Bernie.
Yeah.
And then when he lost, I voted for Biden.
Yeah.
And then and then this election, I'm not voting.
Yeah. You said this is your third election. You see now how bought off we are here. So how proud are you to live in this wonderful democracy?
No, I'm proud. Listen, America is a great country. America gave me a second chance, and I want to live here, and I want my kids to grow up here. And I know that a lot of people watch like, oh, so why didn't you like it? Why don't you leave? You know, because that's their answer for everything.
If you don't love it,
if you don't love it, like no, I love it, but
Yeah.
I don't like how things are going, and that's the difference. And this is again one of those catch-22 questions. Like, what do you like? It's no, that's not the answer. The answer is that we need this country to be better for all of us, and it needs this country to uphold for the principle that it said that it was built upon.
Yeah.
And if it's not going, the answer is not to leave. I had to leave Egypt because I had no other choice.
Right.
But if you promise me in the West that you are liberal democracies and you have all of these rights and you have all of these great shiny examples, you should abide by it. And if you continue not to do it, so maybe just stop pretending that you signed the Geneva Convention.
Right.
You stop pretending that you care about human rights. Stop pretending that you are the leader of the free world, because basically you're free to do what the fuck you want. That's not a free world.
Yeah. I mean, that is America.
That is America. But like the thing is, like, all of these accusations, like, oh, what do you do? Or like, you hate America. It was told for the people who have protested against Vietnam. Well, it's told against the people who protested the war before. It was told against everybody who protested the Iraq war, who protested all of the interference of military-industrial complex in politics. Everybody who objects the status quo, what they do is they put patriotism and religion, right, just like in the Middle East. In the Middle East, you have two big untouchables, God and the country. Patriotism, the army, God, the army, God, which is the religion. And if you talk about them, oh, you're either an infidel or either you don't love your country, you're a traitor.
Right.
So all of these like blackmailing techniques, I know that because I lived in Egypt so long, 40 years of that. So for me, it's like, oh my God, you're doing the same thing, but it's a little bit more polished.
Yeah. So you're saying stupid people are the same everywhere?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really about power and money, power and money, power and money. And the way to do it is you have to control the masses. You either control the masses with oppression or control the masses with alternative things.
Yeah.
Like, for example, give them the illusion of free speech, where you limit the free speech within a spectrum and where you're not allowed to talk anything about that spectrum because you're going to be called all kinds of names.
Yeah.
Or you give them a lot of entertainment, like the Coliseum. It's the same thing. You know, all of these, like, a huge amount of money that's being like spent on sports, on holiday, all of these are distractions. And I know, like, I sound like all of these conspiracy theories, but like it's really how you can keep the masses in check without using the usual way. Like the countries in the Middle East do that because they're either poor or they're not as established.
Right.
Right. So do you because people are often so hopeless and dismal when it comes to the U.S. at some point stopping sending arms to Israel or stopping this whole imperialistic endeavor in the Middle East. Do you foresee a world where the U.S. actually could stop its imperial endeavors in the Middle East?
Depending on what you mean by the U.S. Because the U.S. is made of government, and the government is bought is made by people, and the people so far are bought by Israel. Until you free yourself from that clock, there is no way forward. Israel is a parasitic state that have basically controlled the United States. It's like it's a fungus.
The mushrooms, yeah.
The fungus mushroom. It goes in and it just like kills the bug, and they eat its brain out, and they just move the bug like a zombie. It's the same idea about
sounds delicious.
No, it sounded like the HBO thing.
That show, The Last of Us.
The Last of Us,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Israel is a parasite. It's in this body, and it's controlling the body.
Israel is a fungus. That's a new take.
Yeah, it is a fungus. It's a parasitic fungus.
Sorry.
And if you don't get rid of that fungus and that bug, there's no way forward. And the bug is big and huge and lethal, but it has absolutely no control of its elements. I mean, that's why I find it very funny when Israel said like, we are standing by ourselves in the Middle East, we are fighting on seven front. Bitch, you're using like unlimited amount of money and weapons. I mean, so far I think America spent over like $30 billion. Not a single penny came out of Israel coffers. It all came from our money.
Right.
It's like, so if you want to fight yourself, so go fight yourself.
Right.
Don't use our money because that's not you fighting by yourself.
Yeah.
But don't you agree that, the U.S., as in our government or as in some people, wealth-holding, influential people, donor class, have a lot of responsibility in funding Israel and all the imperialistic endeavors that we have in the Middle East?
Who are the donor class? Who are the biggest donor of Donald Trump? The Adelsons, right?
Yeah.
Ashton and Miriam Adelson. Who's the bigger donor of Biden?
Who is it?
Bezos?
No.
It's not Musk.
Haim Saban. I
don't know that one.
Haim Saban is he's the guy. He's a Hollywood mogul. He is the guy who's behind Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles, Power Rangers.
Nice. My childhood.
This guy is an Egyptian Jew.
Yeah.
Who immigrated, his family.
Like you.
Yeah, he's yes, because I'm a secret Jew.
Yeah.
And then he immigrated from Egypt. His family immigrated from Egypt after Nasser. And this guy openly says, I have one issue, and that issue is Israel. And this guy, he is behind the Friends of the IDF gala dinners every year.
Oh yeah, I protested them down in San Mateo last year.
Friends of the IDF every year raises somewhere between $50 and $100 million every year for the veterans of the IDF.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. It's a non-profit organization, which means that the money donated to it, it's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
And this money is going to the veterans there. Now, who are the biggest invitees in these dinners? Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone. These are like the regulars, and plus many, many, many more. You can find it in the internet. And this is what's interesting. Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger did all of these patriotic movies, glorifying American soldiers.
Yeah, Rambo.
Yeah. And I wonder if they have, how much money did the Friends of IDF has contributed to the IDF over 14 years? More than $700 million.
Yeah, a couple shekels.
Now I understand. Did they even like pay a fraction of that money to American veterans?
Yeah.
Right.
So you just play the role in the movies,
right?
But you don't follow it up in real life. Have you, as actors, paid a fraction of that money to the strikes of SAG-AFTRA for the writers and the actors? No. So which tells you, is your loyalty with America or with Israel?
Right.
And the fact that Sylvester Stallone is a son of an immigrant family. Schwarzenegger is an immigrant himself, and Haim Saban is an immigrant himself.
And those people comes from a Nazi family.
No, but they are all immigrants.
Yeah.
And they came to this America, and America gave them their careers.
Yeah.
America gave them their wealth, their fame, but their loyalty is with Israel. That makes you ask many questions.
Yeah.
That's why we should close the border.
Yeah, those freaking immigrants.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people had, and I know I don't want to like be a downer, but I have to.
We're talking about the Middle East here.
No, but seriously, like, you know, everybody had hope about like the college students.
Right.
Oh my God, you see, this is the next generation. No, I am sorry, I have to disagree.
Okay, please shit on the kids.
No, I'm not shitting on them.
Yeah.
Because those kids, they might be the purest, the most
Yeah.
courageous of all of us. But at the end of the day, they will never make it to politics. And whoever make it to politics will be either suppressed, intimidated, or underfunded, because the people who get funded to get there are the assholes, the worst people. I'm sure that those generation, whoever make it to politics, is some douchebag who's an informant on his people, on his friends.
Right.
And Israel will know him, and the AIPAC will know him, and they will finance those people, because those people never make it to politics because they have too much integrity.
Yeah.
And by default, the people go into politics, with a few exceptions, are the assholes. And if you see every single one that is being bought, it's not just about him selling his integrity. There's a lot of shit in their closets. And when you are a corrupt state or a corrupt entity and you want people to advance your agenda, you need corrupted people. And I'll give you a perfect example. You know Robert Massey, the congressman who talked about everybody is having an AIPAC person, handler, right?
Oh, yeah.
He came out in a hearing in Congress a few days ago, and he said, there's $17 million paid by Congress members for hush money, for settlements with sleeping with prostitutes. And these money came from their campaign finances, from the taxpayers' money. $17 million. These are the kind of people that are perfect for if you want to advance a corrupt, illegal, and unjust agenda.
You're saying we all made the wrong career choice here.
Yeah, you should have been one of the prostitutes.
Working on it.
Maybe you should have settled for $1 million.
Working on it.
Was sleeping with Brian Mast.
Oh no, I can do better than that.
I mean, it sounds like you don't have a lot of hope for.
I don't.
US
I don't have a lot of hope in the world, and I'm sorry to say. But what would prevent a full-scale war in the world? Seriously.
Yeah.
Because I know you're a math person, you're better than me. Inflation is going crazy. We're printing money like crazy. There's no value for the paper. The only way to reset that is a destructive war.
Yeah.
You need to reset that, or else the inflation will go on and go on. And the way that you prevent that is full-scale war. This is well, it could save the currency, but it will destroy the rest of the world. You heard it here first. You heard it here first with Friday Night Semites. Bassem Youssef predicting the next war. Because at the end of the day, really, like, I don't think we have governments. I mean, I remember one person said like we don't have governments, we have owners.
Yeah.
I mean,
we have Lockheed, we got Chevron.
Every single corporation in the world is owned by 3 companies, which is BlackRock and Vanguard and now one more. And they have shareholders in every single one. And this is not a conspiracy, it's there.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of like controlling or ruining or destroying things for money is not really something that's far-fetched.
Yeah.
Because people with that much power, they don't have that kind of logic of human. They tell you that. They tell you, oh, it's a new, after Second World War, it's a new world.
Yeah.
It's like human rights, never again, it will not happen. But then, you see what's happening, that's not normal.
Yeah.
This is not normal. You start to think all of this is a charade, is a distraction, and there's something wrong happening.
There's been an escalation in Lebanon recently. Would you think that this is, an actual step towards this bigger global conflict?
I don't know. I mean, so far Israel has assassinated Ismail Haniyeh, has assassinated Nasrallah. I want to stop saying Israel. It's the United States.
Yeah. It's the 51st state.
It's the United States. The United States do that. So maybe we need to ask the United States, what do you guys want? Because are you continue just like to carpet bomb everything until everybody dies? Because it will never be enough for Israel.
Yeah.
Tomorrow they're going to go and they do in the West Bank exactly what they're doing in Gaza. They're going to push them into Jordan. They're going to go escalation, and then they're going to be people who want to maybe start to throw rockets from Egypt or Jordan, from all of these, like the same thing that happened in Lebanon. Remember, they pushed the Palestinians into Lebanon.
Right.
Then the Palestinians retaliated, and then Israel invaded Lebanon. What would prevent them doing the same thing for Jordan or for Syria or for Egypt? Right. And then it will all about self-defense. Oh, they're having rockets in their kitchen. They're having rockets in the school. And then they're going to continue. And everybody knows it's wrong, but you have the Western media absolutely covering it up, defending it, and letting it happen. So it's this kind of evil has to stop. And I don't know how do they foresee that future?
We talk a lot, and you do a great job talking about the difference between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, and we know they're not the same thing. The media conflates it. It's bullshit, whatever. But when you get some of the other countries and some of the, like in Yemen, you have the Houthis, right? And the Houthis are firing rockets and against what Israel's doing in Gaza, and Britain gets mad, the US gets mad. When you see their slogan, and the slogan is, God is great, death to America, death to Israel, a curse upon the Jews. That feels like, okay, when someone says that, they're saying something extra. So how do you parse that when the anti-Zionism, anti-Semitism, and also what kind of curse can I look forward to in my future?
A very, very nice scented, beautifully herbed curse.
Nice.
Well, here's the thing about...
And it's a tough question, I don't know. I'm curious just what you guys think.
Let's talk first about anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
People talk a lot about anti-Semitism in America, but nobody talks about the crimes against the Muslims and the Arabs in America.
Of course.
They don't.
Yeah.
What about that? I mean, there was a kid that had a bullet in his spine, and he's paralyzed for life, and I visited him in the hospital because he's wearing a Palestinian kufi.
Yeah.
That didn't happen to Jewish people in America.
Yeah.
All right? There was a kid, 6 years old, who was stabbed by a 71-year-old man in Chicago.
Yeah.
There was a kid, a Muslim Indian kid, that was almost drowned by a Jewish woman in Texas.
Yeah.
That didn't happen to Jewish kids.
Of course.
So we need to just talk about anti-Semitism.
I'm not saying.
Now let's talk about. So what you're left with?
Yeah.
Slogans.
Yeah.
Words.
Yeah.
Death to the Jews. Okay. But who's doing the actual damage?
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's fine. I understand, of course, as a Jewish person, you are offended or you're scared when you see these kind of slogans. But you need to ask yourself, when you have a country that cancels people like you, and you tell them that you're not a real Jew, and the only real Jews are the Zionists, are the people who want the land, who want to kill everybody, the immediate reaction is like, well, that's death to all Jews.
Right.
So you are really judging a reaction. The source of this is the actions of Israel.
Yeah.
And Israel, by the way, I was speaking to a university professor, and we were discussing about all of these disgusting videos about the IDF soldiers wearing lingeries and playing toys and
once they've invaded people's homes.
No, the IDF, the Israeli army, is a very well organized army, and no army in the world will not have his soldiers post these things unless they are approved and even encouraged by the authority.
For sure.
And I said, why do they do that? And he said, he was brilliant. He said, they're doing that on purpose.
Yeah.
Because they want them to hate. They want you to hate them. And then by the time you hate Israel, you hate Zionists, you hate Jews.
Right.
And this is what Israel will use. It's like, see, anti-Semitism.
Of course.
Everybody hates us.
Of course.
We're allowed to do whatever. So Israel doesn't care.
Right.
About people loving Jews. Israel revels in people hating Jews
and
being vocal about, because it feeds on that, because it gives them their next excuse to bomb the next hospital, the next thing. So what you're seeing of those slogans is a direct reaction of what Israel has done.
Yeah.
The whole premise of Zionism from Herzl was specifically that you cannot get rid of anti-Semitism. You can only avoid it.
About this,
right?
Yeah.
And so therefore, Zionism always needs to be fed by anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
So, can we switch it up a little bit for a moment? Can you say something nice about Israel?
Next question.
That was perfect. That was perfect. Do you think with enough awareness, you know, like the kind that you're spreading, the kind that we're trying to spread, do you think with enough of that, there will be a critical mass, a critical shift in the United States and policy?
I don't know. The only reason I'm speaking, not because to make an impact, because if I don't, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
If I don't speak about it, I'm just going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
Is any part of it that you fear your Palestinian wife?
Yeah. She's scared.
Yeah.
You say like Bassem, you know, she lost half of her family. I said like those people are evil. They killed half of her family, and she's very worried. Like she begs me, and I have to tell you, like I have actually reduced my appearances in many podcasts by 50% just to keep her happy. She agreed because she knows you.
There it is. There it is.
We did
there
it.
It is.
Yeah.
Not me. All you, baby.
Yeah.
Since you were talking about your old show, you were through the Arab Spring, the ups, the downs, all of it. And now it's what, 12 years, 13 years later. Do you see, you know, obviously you have a lot of hope for the US, I can tell.
Yeah.
And a lot of hope for Israel.
Very.
You know, and positive things like we all do to say about that. Where is there, we're like begging. Is there anything like any sparks for the Arab world that you see? Arab Spring 2.0. I don't know what that'd be. The Arab summer, the Arab fall, because you know Tunisia.
I'm just
curious.
I just turned 50.
Yeah.
I'm in my midlife crisis.
Okay.
So hope is the last thing I have.
Okay.
About anything in general.
All right.
I am in my own personal crisis phase.
Yeah.
And I am. I have absolutely. I only hope that that my knee pain goes away.
There you go.
That's my only thing that I can hope on.
Okay.
Like I'm doing desperate stuff. I'm juicing. I'm eating healthy.
Yeah.
This is. Like,
I'm so sorry.
This is me being desperate.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. These macaroons are just sitting.
So do you understand? Do you understand like my mood?
Yeah.
I'm in no mood for hope.
Yeah. Just rage, which is good comedy.
Yeah. Rage, man. I need to be rage. Yeah. I just like. I'll be very honest, and you as a comedian will understand this. One of the things that frustrated me back in Egypt is that at a certain point, you as a human being, you have a limit. You cannot do much.
Yeah.
And then the problem is you as a comedian, you're doing your job. So people come to you who are disappointed at the politicians and the media people who are not doing their job, who are failing them.
Yeah.
And they come to you and you see you making fun of the politicians, making fun of media. They see something that can relate to them. Mm-hmm. So they find something better, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of comfort or relief or release turns into commitment. So they push you to do more. And if you don't speak about it, why you're not speaking about it? And if you're not doing enough.
Right.
And if you shut down, if you shut up, you don't. Why don't you speak now? And if you speak up, you do that because you're a grifter, you never win. I had that in Egypt, and at a certain point, I had to escape because it was too dangerous for me, and I came here. And I don't know when will I shut up here. It will happen one day because at a certain point you can't do anything, and at a certain point it will be repetitive because the same shit you're saying at the end, and maybe I will be bored, maybe I'll be scared, maybe I will stop for whatever reason. And then you start by being a release, then you become a hope, and then it becomes a commitment that you have to do something more. And your power is limited, and you can't do, but those people are desperate, and they just need anything.
Yep.
And then you have the rage and the anger builds up inside of them, and at a certain point, that rage will hit you because you're more accessible. So this is the cycle.
It's tricky.
That is happening to me again now. Every time you announce a show, you stop talking about Palestine. Dude, that's my job. You go into a TV show, now it is you forgot about. Dude, I'm not a news reporter.
Right.
I cannot talk about Palestine, Lebanon, Sudan, Yemen, what happens in Burma, what's happening. I can't. I'm not a news organization. I'm a comedian. I will talk about what I can at that time.
Why haven't you been speaking out about the crisis in Alaska, Bassem?
Yes. Is there a crisis in Alaska?
No, I don't know. I just it was the least crisis place I could.
Did I miss that?
Because, and you didn't speak out on it
because my fans didn't tell me.
Yeah.
About like that I should be talking about. Maybe I missed it. Yes.
Yeah, no, that is the difficulty of political comedy. Once you give the people a little bit, they want more.
Yeah.
Especially if you do good at it. And
because the problem still persists.
Yeah.
It will still persist
Will
because the corruption of the media is there, and you're the one who's making fun of it. But then the clown turns into they need the clown to be turned into a leader, and I'm not.
And the CIA and Jon Stewart prepared you for none of that.
Yes, they only prepared me for phase 1, which is bringing down the country. They didn't. I didn't go to chapter 2.
You didn't get leadership training.
I need to go back and continue my education.
You know, people always look to the artist, the performer, to cheer them up, to make sense of the world, to make fun of the world.
Yes, and now you get to see the grumpy old side of that.
Right,
and it's fucking brutal.
Yes,
it's fucking brutal, and we're all feeling
I mean, look at this guy. He still has all his hair. He's black. He's so young, and I fucking hate you.
I'm 40, man. I mean,
well, I'm 40, man. I'm 40. I'm so old. I'm 40.
And this is where the rage turns inward. When we can't access, like you said, when we can't access the people.
This is jealousy. Yeah. This is jealousy and pure envy.
Yeah.
Damn you, man.
Yeah.
Damn you.
I'm glad we found something to agree on.
Yes. Fuck you. Yeah.
I'll be the
this is all about we can get. Fuck the Palestinians.
I'll take the fall on this one. Yeah.
What do Egypt and Israel agree on?
Fuck the Palestinians.
Does hope have the right to exist?
Hope has we need hope to exist.
Yeah.
Whether hope exists or not, it's up to hope. Because maybe hope came here. It's like, fuck you guys, I don't want to be with you. Maybe hope decided to just leave this planet. It's like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with this planet. I have 2 kids, and I want to be hopeful.
Yeah.
I have no choice but to be hopeful.
Yeah.
Because that's what really matters at the end of the day. All of that, the money, the fame, the success, the ups and the downs, the failure, the achievements, doesn't matter. It's like it's at the end of the day what you see in your kids and if they're happy or not. That's the one thing that matters. And also, I have 2 cats.
Oh yeah, what's their names?
Okay, so we got a cat.
Is this okay for
public
consumption? I don't want to out your cats.
So first of all, my daughter wanted a cat.
Yeah.
So I promised her when she, this year, I'll get her a cat. I get a cat, and I told her, what do you want to call her? She said Fish. It's like, oh, that's good, because we thought we want to get a dog, but then she catfished us, Catfish. So we called her Fish. And then I decided, I surprised her, and because I read when you get 2 cats, they keep each other company, and that's stressful. So we got another one. So we got the girl Fish, and from the same shelter we got a boy. What do you think we called him?
Fish and
yes, you there?
Chips.
Yes, fish and chips. We have fish and chips.
All right.
So and I think I think these are much better than going to therapy. I feel much more at ease, and so I'm there with my kids and my family and my wife and my cats, and that's what gives me hope.
So get a cat.
Get a cat.
And name them after British food.
Yes.
And we'll be good to go.
And then what's his name? Vance would say.
JD Vance.
JD Vance. He said like you're a crazy cat mother and you're fucking couches.
you and Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So
Taylor
you're
Swift.
in good company.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
And we always like to have a little toast to end. Can I give you a little more tea?
Yes. I'm consuming so much tea, so I'm thinking. I'm taking. See, are you taking your share? I'm learning from Israel. Yeah. I'm just taking what's not mine. I'm taking.
Right responsibilities.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's get high on minty.
Yeah, there it is. Check out Bassem on tour, Middle Beast. When the special comes out, we appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Happy Friday night.
Happy Friday night.